Before I take questions from the assignment, I want to talk about an extra credit opportunity that you have. Okay? I'm going to actually record today's lesson in class. So all the problems that we go over in class will actually be out there on my website. If you don't know my website, you can find it through Swift Creek's link, but that's the address. It will say 1013 recording. If you have a YouTube account, it'll let you leave a comment on my YouTube account. Leave a comment with your first name and last name. That's all I need. And I'll give you extra credit points for that. If you don't have a YouTube account, it obviously won't let you leave a comment. If you watch the video, send me an email with your first and last name so that I can give you extra credit. Okay? That's the best that I can offer. The comment just needs to be your signature, basically. I need an electronic signature saying you were there. Those people that are sending me an email, don't think that just sending an email is going to suffice, because I will be able to tell how many people have actually gone on and watched it. So I expect to see the number of emails and the number of comments all to kind of coincide.
If I'm able to watch your video on YouTube, my YouTube account is my name.
It doesn't matter. But I just need to see, a comment there so that I know to give you extra credit points. Marcus. Question?
I'm sorry, I lost it.
Okay.
Okay, so can we put like our first name, then the first letter of our last name, and then that?
I'm okay so long as I know, like, I don't have any other options, to be honest. Okay? I just don't. But I do have some people that I have multiple names of. That's why I said first and last name. Dana. I will give you that towards the end of class.
If we send you an email, we just like send you our first and last name.
Yep, just tell me that you watched the video. Okay? Marcus.
Okay, I remember my question. So what does extra credit goes towards?
This 9 weeks.
This 9 weeks. Okay.
This 9 weeks.
Perfect.
Need extra credit if you like the video.
You don't have to like it.
Like and subscribe.
Okay? Doesn't matter if you subscribe either. I'm going to tell you, most of my videos are unlisted. The only reason you can access it is because I leave them. I put a link on my web page. The reason they're unlisted is most of the stuff comes straight off of one of these sheets. These sheets are copyrighted. So if I leave it unlisted, the only people that can see it are my students, who also have access to these sheets, and I'm not breaking copyright rules.
How long is the video?
It's as long as the questions will be. I've already started recording. It's actually recorded everything that I've said so far. It'll be like watching the video that you watched in class the other. Okay? I can't tell you whether it can hear you. My microphone is up in front. And it adjusts itself to my voice. And so it'll pick me up very well, and it'll hear certain things in the background, but it probably wouldn't pick up, if you ask a question from the back of the room, it probably won't pick up what that question is. Okay? Other questions about the extra credit? Okay. So, Marcus.
Okay, when is the last day? Like, is this
Thursday.
Okay.
Last day you can do it. Allie. Yes.
Oh.
Question.
Like I did number 14, but I forgot to write it down, and I have it on the book.
You're fine. I gave you full credit.
Okay.
Lane,
So you don't have to like the
you do not have to like the video.
Do you?
Yes. Question. Number 7. Remember, the whole goal is to get the variable by itself. So I want to get rid of this adding 6. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. That's going to leave me 4D is equal to 36. What am I going to do next? I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. D is going to be equal to 9. Okay? I'll get that later. And I think
Do I get credit for this? Because I did it.
that's what I said. I'll get it from you later. There you go. This will give you something to follow along with today. Question. Which one? 13. Number 13 says a negative 3 parentheses n plus 5 equals 12. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of those problems you could have worked out 2 different ways. Could have been done one of 2 different ways. If you take a look at where the variable is, the variable is inside of the parentheses. If you're undoing order of operations, you have to undo them going backwards. So I can't do what's inside of the parentheses first. I have to do the multiplication that's on the outside. How do I undo multiplication? So I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 3. These are going to have canceled out, leaving me just the n plus 5. 12 divided by a negative 3 would be a negative 4. I want to get this n by itself. How do I get rid of the addition? Subtraction. So I end up subtracting 5 from both sides. That's going to leave me n equals, do these have the same signs or different? Same, so I add them together. I get a negative 9. If I did it the other way, if you don't see this as being multiplication, you should remember how to distribute. Negative 3 times n is a negative 3n. Negative 3 times 5 would be a negative 15, and that would be equal to 12. I want to get n by itself, so I'm going to add 15 to both sides. It's going to leave me a negative 3n is equal to 27. And now I would divide by a negative 3. Either way, I should end up with n equals a negative 9. So if you can't see it the one way, distribute it and do it the other way. There's certainly 2 different methods that you could have done. Alex.
So, for the first way, it's 12 divided by a negative 3?
It's 12 divided by a negative 3, which is a negative 4. Okay? Yes.
Number 11.
Number 11. I'm going to tell you that yesterday, as I was going around answering questions, probably one of the biggest things that happened is people were telling me they didn't know how to work with a fraction. And I'm going to tell you, stop thinking of it as a fraction. This is a division problem. If you start thinking of it as a division problem, it's easier to figure out what to do to undo it. I have to undo the addition first, so I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. It's going to leave me z divided by 5 equals. Do these have the same signs or different? Same. So I add them together and I keep their sign. I get a negative 38. To get rid of the division, what do? Multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. These 5s are going to cancel out, leaving me just the z. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative, and when I multiply 38 times 5, it's going to give me a negative 190. Other questions? Alexis? 17? I want to get this variable by itself. It doesn't matter whether the variable's on the left or the right. It's still what I want to get by itself. How do I get rid of the subtracting 8, or the negative 8? How do I get rid of this subtracting 8? I what? I add the 8. It's going to give me 54 equals. Please don't drop the sign that's attached to the variable. It's a negative 6t. T is being multiplied by a negative 6. Whatever you're multiplying by is what you have to divide by. If you're multiplying by a positive, you've got to divide by a positive. If you're multiplying by a negative, you've got to divide by a negative. The whole reason for wanting to multiply and then divide by the same exact thing is, what is a negative 6 divided by a negative 6? 1. Which is the goal, is to have 1t. And we just don't write the 1 down, do we? And how many times would 6 go into 54? It's going to go 9 times, but a positive divided by a negative is a negative.
Add the 8 first instead of the 6.
Because when I'm undoing order of operations, I have to undo it going backwards. Right? So I have to undo addition and subtraction before I undo multiplication and division. The negative 6 is being multiplied by t. The 8 is being subtracted. Which do I undo first? The subtraction. And I undo subtraction by using addition. Okay, you work through it backwards. Alex. Number 8. I want to get the variable by itself. So to get rid of a positive 12, I end up subtracting 12 from both sides. When I bring this down, what am I going to bring down? Not 3y, but a negative 3y. These both have the same sign. I keep their sign, and I add them together. 48 and 12 is 60. Y is being multiplied by a negative 3. The opposite of multiplication is? So I divide both sides by a negative 3. These are going to cancel out. A negative divided by a negative becomes a positive. And 3 goes into 60 20 times. Good. So you just went from a level 2 maybe to a level 3, or from a 1 to a 2, right? Other questions from this worksheet? Once, twice? Anybody? Quick, go. Just go do those five. Go. Quick. I want to do a couple questions with you from this sheet. Because if you get this sheet, you're going to notice at the bottom, some of the answers have mixed numbers in them. Okay? It's just the family name, the snore. I don't know. So, I want to look at a couple of the questions that are on this together. So let's look at number 2 together. It says this: 6y minus 5 equals 11. What's the first thing I'm going to want to do? I'm going to want to add 5 because I'm subtracting 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. It's going to give me 6y is equal to 16. What would my next step be? Divide 6 on both sides. It's going to give me y equals 16 over 6. That can be simplified. What will go into both 16 and 6? 2. Goes into 16 8 times. Goes into 6 3 times. And how many times does 3 go into 8? And what's going to be left? 2 and 2/3. So number 2 is H. Down at the bottom where number 2 is, put an H there. And you're going to notice that there's 2 rows. The top row you're going to fill in, just like you'd worked it out. On the bottom row, you're going to unscramble that group of letters to make a word. And I'm going to tell you they unscramble easy. I'd like you to. Okay? It's going to tell you if you've got the answer right or wrong. So I'd like you to. It's beneficial for you. I'd like you to then skip over and let's take a look at number 10. Because it has something in it that you may not have seen yet. Number 10. Okay? If I want to get this variable by itself, the first thing I have to undo is the addition. How do I undo addition? Subtraction. I'm going to tell you there's lots of different ways that you can do this, but if you want to do it in one step, if they're multiplying by a fraction, you technically would divide by the fraction. The rule would say keep, change, and flip. So if you simply multiply by the reciprocal to start with, what's going to happen to my fractions on the left side? They're going to cancel out, leaving me just down. Okay? That you're going to multiply by its reciprocal. Okay? Where you flipped it. Okay? Negative 11 times 2 is a negative 22 over 7. How many times will 7 go into 22? 3. And what's left? 1/7. Negative 3 and 1/7. And you're going to find that if you look down there, that is letter A. Okay? So, now you can do what? Finish the worksheet.